What's going on, Luna? Yeah. How you doing, pup? What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're just going to do a random rant. Going to show you some of the homegrown food. I know I've already showed you guys this before, but we have an abundance of homegrown tomatoes right now. And this is all high energy food, you guys. I've said for years that if you're going to make the majority of your diet plant food, you really want to do your best to eat as much homegrown plant food as possible. So we've got an entire counter full of homegrown tomatoes, you guys. And we also, in the garage and in the refrigerator in here, we just have the refrigerator in the garage and this refrigerator, full of homegrown tomatoes because there's just so many coming off the plants right now that we can't keep up with them. And if you refrigerate tomatoes off the vine, it stunts the ripening process, so you can kind of store them a little while before they rot. So got some more tomatoes in the sink. I really like these yellow ones. These are called Great Whites. That's the strain. But guys, do your best to get some source of homegrown food. See all the apples on the tree? This tree every year produces a massive amount of food. So let's take a quick stroll through what's left of the garden right now. We've already pulled so many tomatoes off these plants and they look like hell right now because it's like pretty much the end of the season, and we're pulling a lot of the tomatoes out of the plants out of the soil because we're having some pest issues towards the end. But got some more tomatoes. It's really windy out here, so I'll make it quick. I'll show you the rest of the garden right now. Homegrown onions. Yeah, these tomato plants right now look like hell. Here's a fig tree. These looked so much better a couple of weeks ago. They were dark green. Again, we've pulled a lot of the tomatoes out. These boxes are pretty much empty. So, got some pepper plants here too, you guys. They need to be fucking fed some nutrients, though. They're looking kind of pale. So, this apple tree has a ton of apples on it, guys. I don't know if you can see that, but apples, apples, apples. I'm gonna stew a bunch of those, juice a bunch of them, you name it. What's up, bug? Very pretty. All right, guys, just a brief little rant. People want to know what I'm eating on a regular basis. I'm eating a lot of homegrown food right now because I have a ton of it. I eat a lot of white rice, a lot of basmati rice. I eat a lot of honey. I eat a lot of eggs. I eat a lot of raw eggs. I'm going to make a video showing you how I make my raw egg smoothie. And I'll post that to YouTube. A lot of people think that raw animal food is gross. I eat a mixture of raw animal foods and cooked animal foods, but the one raw animal food that I eat the most of is raw eggs. I drink them. I put them in a smoothie with a little bit of goat milk, some honey and some psyllium and some minerals, and I'm good to go. But these I don't normally eat. When I eat beef, I eat better quality beef, but we had this in the freezer. I'm going to cook some for Luna tonight. I'm going to mix it with my rice and some ghee. I'm going to chop up a bunch of tomatoes, put it on top, and season it with salt. Probably a little bit of pepper as well. So, guys, I try to do my best to eat real foods. I eat a mixture of plant foods and animal foods. And here's the thing, guys. I don't eat gluten. I mean, that's not technically true because I look at gluten like a special occasion kind of thing. But when I eat gluten, I get fucked up. It ruins my digestion. I just made a video about this that I'm going to post to the YouTube channel about how anytime I eat gluten, it makes my colon bleed. I don't know what's going on with the gluten. I know that the proteins in gluten are incredibly difficult for the stomach acid to break apart. So you're bringing something into your system that your body has an incredibly hard time breaking down. Gluten is a family of proteins of which there are two main proteins, gliadin and glutenin. These proteins are a mixture of amino acids that are daisy-chained together with chemical bonds. The stomach acid has a very difficult time breaking apart these chemical bonds that hold these amino acids together on these protein structures. So what ends up happening is that you ferry into your small intestine proteins that have not been broken apart effectively. And because the amino acids on these protein structures have not been liberated, you bring them into your small intestine and they destroy your villi, your microvilli. These are your absorptive tissues that your small intestine, is lined with. These tissues take broken apart food and ferry nutrients into the bloodstream and the rest of your body through these villi. This is why we avoid gluten. And guys, I'll go through like 4 or 5 months without gluten and then intentionally ingest gluten to see what happens. My digestion gets ruined. I get bloated. I end up bleeding in the toilet. It's just a fucking mess. In my opinion, one of the leading causes of digestive issues, if not the leading cause of digestive issues here in the material realm, is the habitual consumption of gluten. So you want to live like me, you want to follow my system, you get off of vegetable oils, if I can speak today, and gluten. You put an emphasis on high ORAC foods, antioxidants. We supplement with things like vitamin C around here. And we eat a mixture of plant and animal foods. So eggs are a huge part of my system. Rice, gluten-free grains and starches, homegrown food. It's very basic, you guys. It's very basic, the way I eat. I eat the internal organs of animals, as gross as that may sound, because they're full of B vitamins and minerals. Grass-fed beef liver, kidney, you name it. Some may call me crazy for doing that. I really don't care anymore. I'm over caring. But I heard someone out front. I am over caring. It's a couple of pieces of art that I made as gifts for family. This is a pen piece that I did honoring one of our dead animals. And this is my Father's Day gift from my dad, Pennywise the Clown. So anyways, you guys, just a brief little rant, doing a little bit of discussing gluten, discussing the destruction of the colon. I work with a lot of people, and I have over the years worked with hundreds of them. And a lot of the people who reach out to me because they're experiencing digestive issues. And 99% of the time, when the people who contact me who have digestive issues let me know what they're eating, gluten is certainly on there. They're eating pizzas and breads and pastas and gluten-containing starches and grains. These are the destroyers of human health. And guys, since I really got adamant about preaching the health consequences of gluten, a lot of people have reached out to me and said, dude, even after 48 hours without gluten, I feel better. Well, that's because you're not consuming this inflammatory substance, this inflammatory family of proteins. Gluten is Latin for glue. It's sticky. And gluten is what makes flour and wheat and all of these gluten-containing things very sticky. It's stretchy but sticky. It adheres to things. So when it goes into your stomach acid has a very difficult time breaking apart the chemical bonds that hold these proteins together. Proteins are an amalgam of isolated amino acids that are daisy chained together via chemical bonds. This human stomach acid just is not designed to consume modern gluten. Modern gluten is all the hybridized, genetically engineered crap. The wheat, for instance. The average American eats over 100 pounds of wheat a year. If you don't believe me, read Dr. David Perlmutter's book, Grain Brain. I believe that at one point in time, wheat, for instance, was a lot healthier for us because it didn't get sprayed with herbicide, fungicide, larvicide, insecticide. It wasn't genetically engineered and hybridized and grown in mineral depleted soils, you name it. But that's not what we're consuming nowadays. Most Americans are eating garbage wheat, garbage gluten from mistreated gluten containing, excuse me, what am I saying here? Excuse me, folks. That was a word soup. Long story short, people are eating gluten from suboptimal gluten sources. Our ancestors, to a large extent, harvested wheat, for instance, because they could grow it in abundance and then store it as a survival food. I don't believe that we should be eating it as like a primary food group. And don't tell me that we don't. Here in the United States, gluten and wheat and the consumption of gluten-containing starches and grains is through the roof. In fact, the USDA food pyramid, on the bottom level, what do they recommend you eat the most of? Gluten-containing grains and starches, cereals, pastas, and breads. Now tell me that isn't by design. Fucking A, you guys. At the store, they have an entire shelf, an entire aisle of cereals, and 99% of them contain gluten and other processed sugars, titanium dioxides, preservatives, etc. We should not be eating this stuff. So you can keep eating it, see where it gets you. But most of the people who eat gluten habitually, and that's the large majority of the United States, they have a whole lot of health issues. A whole lot of health issues. Maybe, just maybe, the gluten has a role in all of this. Test it out and find out for yourself, folks. Do you have to keep eating gluten? People say, I don't want to live without my pizza and my bread. Well, you can't just take a month off from it to give your body a reset? Because, folks, 99% of the people that I work with, again, who have digestive issues, it's caused primarily from the gluten. A lack of minerals, a lack of proper hydration, you name it. Oftentimes, digestive issues are fixed not from taking a substance, it's from removing not just one substance, but more often than not, multiple. It's not just gluten causing digestive issues, but it's the main factor. Dudley. Hey, buddy. It's one of the main factors. So, we all can change our ways, guys. We don't have to keep eating or living in this suboptimal fashion. We can all change our ways. All we've got to do is just grab onto the right path and move forward with it. I'm going to wrap this one up. I love you all, and may peace be with you.